Welcome back to another episode of the Jackrabbit Illustrated podcast. We're excited to have you join us today. Before we dive in, we'd like to thank our sponsors who help make this all possible. First off, a great big thank you to our title sponsor again for 2024, the Kubota dealers of South Dakota. Whether it's tractors, mowers, utility vehicles, construction, or farm equipment, Kubota's got you covered. With 9 convenient locations across the state of South Dakota and 1 in northwest Iowa, there's always a Kubota dealer nearby. Stop by your local Kubota dealer and see all they have to offer. All A-Team shows are sponsored this year by Culver's of Brookings and Watertown, home of the Butterburger, fried cheese curds, signature root beer, and world-famous custard. Culver's, welcome to delicious. Next, we would like to recognize the support of our other A-Team podcast sponsors. Cubby Sports Bar and Grill, the best sports bar in South Dakota and home to the Jimmy Rogers Radio Show. Northwestern Mutual Wealth Management, see them for all your retirement and life insurance needs. And the Jackrabbit Former Players Association. And now, here is the A-Team.
And welcome back to another episode of the Jackrabbit Illustrated podcast. The A-Team is here with you tonight, coming on a victory Sunday, which is a heck of a lot better than a losing Monday that we did last week. So, how the heck you guys doing?
That's how I'm doing.
There we go.
Tastes like victory.
Tastes
Oh,
like
nice.
victory.
Did you get me some of those? I want some of those.
I can get you a case if you'd like.
Chad is flexing one of the Jackrabbit themed Bud Light cans. I definitely need one of those.
Those are slick. Ooh, double logo.
Love
Both
it.
sides.
Yeah.
Nice.
Love it. No, I'm good, Matt. Missed listen to Tyler call the game on the drive home from Madison. That was good. Did Tyler? He's so good, guys.
Yeah.
I know. We've said that about Tyler Merriam for years, but man, our radio crew is so good, and they get better every year. So that was fun, and it ate up almost the entire 4.5 hour drive back. So.
That's awesome.
That was cool. I got to catch my first game at Camp Randall, which was a blast. Oh my God.
Did you jump around?
So here's the deal. Let me talk about that for a second. I told Hudson about it. One of my favorite videos, if anybody hasn't seen it, is the first jump around after COVID when they came back from the no fans year. Is like, you'll get goosebumps watching YouTube. It's so cool. Yeah. And I've talked about it to Hudson, so I kind of like built it up. And then you get there, and before the game, like they showed at the recruiting thing that we did, they showed like a highlight video of like how it started, and then there's all this jump around branded stuff. And we're watching the game, there's like signs and shirts and hats, and anyway, Hudson's like, "Dad, is this going to be a letdown?" And I'm like, "Oh no, this thing that I'm excited about, it's overblown, it's overhyped. This sucked." And then it happens. Shattered every expectation I had. Oh my God. Like you feel this like just explosion. It's like a bomb goes off. It's so fun. So, and I'm not even a Badgers fan or anything, but unbelievable. Go watch a game at Camp Randall. Well worth it. But so that was my weekend. It was awfully fun.
Very cool.
So now the opportunity here at Brookings is we got to figure out what our little thing is. Nebraska's doing their light show. Oklahoma's got the Toby Keith. Alabama's doing the Dixieland Delight, right? And then jump around. We got to get our own little fourth quarter light show thing going, huh?
Great call.
There we go.
I mean, it's something we've been talking about for a while. That's for sure. We just got to figure it out. The intro, Matt, you want to talk about that quick?
Well, yes, I do. But first, Chad, I would like to talk about the Kubota Dealers of South Dakota, our title sponsor for this year of the show. Chad's rocking the hat. We got our hats yesterday. Forgot mine. Buddy picked it up for me though. So yeah. But anyways, I feel like, Chad, as our video was going there, I interacted with every single one of our sponsors in some way yesterday. So that was pretty cool. The Kubota piece.
I like how you interacted with Gus too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. The Kubota piece was especially cool because I had 2 separate people tell me that they have bought Kubota tractors in the last month or so. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. One from East Side Implement in Watertown where I got mine. And so that was pretty cool to hear that. But, all different types, all different makes, models, whatever you need for your place, how big your acreage is, how big your farm is, whatever it may be. If you're just looking for something for your commercial property, Kubota can hook you up. We're actually talking to President Dunn about the side-by-sides that they have roaming around campus this year. So that's pretty cool. So thank you, Kubota Dealers of South Dakota, for your sponsorship again this year. Next up, I stopped at Culver's after the game, and that place was packed. Miles got his chicken fingers, and I got my double butter burger, and it was great. They actually locked the doors about 10 people after we came in because it was getting that full. And the shift worker, little high school girl, turned around, and I could see her like mouth to her friend behind the counter as this stream of blue kept coming in. A WTF is going on? Where are these people coming from? So she was not up to date that there's a Jackrabbit football game going on. So anyways, Culver's, great before the game, great after the game. If you can't make it down to Cubbies or tailgating, get on to Culver's and get something to eat. It's always delicious. But the intro video, man, I love the intro video. I don't know that "Oh Death." I'm a huge "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" fan, so I recognized it right away, and I said, "What in the world is this doing in an intro video?" And then like, seeing the video, like the highlights, the hair on my arm started standing up. And you could just kind of feel like the electricity building in the building, and slowly. And then that plane shot came above the stadium, and you just like, then the Kid Rock slowly starts to build the bow to bow in there. Oh man, that was great. I loved it. I loved that they put the pyrotechnics up on a platform this year, so that it shoots a little higher. That looked a little more organized than it has in the past.
Timing was good.
It just looked good. The timing was really good. They didn't stand at the gate for a minute before they ran out onto the field like they did last year. I know there's a couple folks on Twitter at least that are kind of like, a little like, yeah, it was okay, but I prefer some of the Metallica or whatever it may be, little harder rock. I loved it. I really loved it.
I'm excited to see it because I cannot picture it at all with those two songs. So that actually makes me more excited to see it next week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always think that like the overall experience in general, just from like an opposing player standpoint, oh my goodness, like not only the intro, obviously they're probably not seeing as much of that, but like just our experience at game day is just amazing anymore. I mean, it is just from an opponent standpoint to kind of go through that at an FCS level. I mean, like you got to understand that, shoot, we were in Stillwater, obviously besides 30,000 more people, the energy, the noise, kind of the music, all the different things that we're doing on game day, lights out anymore, man. They do an awesome job with that.
Mm-hmm.
And hold on, are we going to call out too? We're talking about just experience. 1/3 of the students were at the game. Oh my God.
So
that's
I wrote about
insane.
Yeah. So I wrote about this in Rants and Raves. So I had gone into the in-stadium bookstore. I got Miles a pair of the striped bibs, ran it over to my dad on the east side of the stadium, and then went to go back and get on the field just because I love to be out there for intros and whatnot. And I'm trying to get through like that south end zone, like below the scoreboard there. And they just opened the gates and let the students come in. They weren't scanning IDs or whatever anymore. They just wanted to get the students into the section. It was a wave of students like crashing towards me. And I, you see those videos like the salmon migrating and like trying to get up that's how I felt in that moment. Like, I'm a big guy too. Like, so trying to like fight off these people to go the other direction. Like,
Gotta get low, Matt.
Yeah, I know. Just, yeah. So Jake, what did you thought the impression was great. Dallas has really been someone that's been a huge proponent that we need to get a better timing, like the mechanics of all of it just need to be better, like a better song. He's a big proponent of the Virginia Tech Enter Sandman. What did you think overall of just like the entrance itself, the song, all that? As a player, would that get you pumped up?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think when I was playing, it was definitely, a big deal that kind of gets the energy going. It kind of gets you ready, gets you in that mindset. It's that nostalgia of every time you hear that song, you have that feeling again. So it's a big deal. And obviously now they're walking out, they got a camera on them it's recorded. We back in the day would just all of a sudden we'd pop up and we'd be right there under the big inflatable Jackrabbit. And so to your point, it's evolved, I'd say in a positive way, quite a bit, that it's a cool experience. It's a good energy for those guys. I mean, to kind of get up, but then again, the intimidation to the other guys. I mean, that experience for the opposing team, not that an intro video, intimidates them like crazy, but I think the whole game day experience, when you got 20,000 people screaming, the music, everything that they're doing right now. And again, that's college football. Look at what Nebraska's doing. Look what Alabama's doing, Oklahoma. Talk about Virginia Tech and Wisconsin, who's done it for a while. And I think just hats off to our team that have done that. SDSU as a whole, the athletic department, to kind of take that, and to Dallas's point, probably getting it a little more cleaner than it's been in the past, making it an important thing. So again, huge compliments to the athletic department on that side. It's a big deal.
Yeah. And
It is.
The Pride still got to play, right? Like, everyone loves the Pride. The Pride still got to
100%.
play. They just waited 10 seconds longer. So, Yep.
I mean,
Sorry,
we've
Chad.
been critical in the past. No worries. We need to give them credit because, like I said, we've been critical in the past. They really put it together. They did an excellent job. One other thing I wanted to add, just since we're kind of on a similar topic, is we had a new announcer. And the biggest compliment I think I can give him is I didn't even realize it for a while,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I did, but like it worked so well that the biggest compliment is I almost couldn't tell it was a different guy, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Agreed.
Who played that?
Yeah.
Is that me? Sorry.
yeah.
Something
I thought
played
it-
in the background.
I thought it was pretty good too. I didn't necessarily care for when we were on offense, the ears up Rabbit fans on third down or whatever it was. It's fine. It's just an additional thing. But overall, I mean, I really thought he did a clean job. I thought Ryan did a good job with it. It wasn't over the top like in Fargo or USD, like you have a cheerleader on the mic. It definitely wasn't that. So I did appreciate that he just kept the focus.
I mean, I hope, and I love Tom Answer. He's great, but he was definitely like I honestly thought it was time to get somebody with some more energy in there. So I'm hoping that that he brought that a bit.
Yep.
Fun story that Ryan was he did our first ever JI intro audio. It was, like 4 or 5 years ago or whatever it was. So that's kind of a cool connection there.
That is awesome. Yeah. All right. Otherwise, game day recap.
Okay,
hold
on, time out. Before we jump into game day recap, there's one thing I wanted to call out that I tweeted out today. Congratulations to Eric Eidsness and Luke Meadows, former Jackrabbit coaches. Anybody that's played for the Jacks, those guys were at SDSU for a long time. They're currently at Northern Illinois. They went into South Bend. They beat Notre Dame. I could not be happier for those two. That's amazing. Jackrabbit connection. Congrats, guys. It was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. That is cool.
And a congrats out to the Idaho faithful. Sorry.
Yeah.
They got a scalp too.
Congrats, Eck.
Yeah, that was an heck of a win. So,
Heck of a win.
all right. Tailgating. Tailgating was awesome. Chad, great job with book club. Man, you and Brendan just raised that every year, just better and better.
Ben helps that too.
Ben, yep. Jake.
Jim Poppin. All these guys.
Jake, you guys in the backyard, I think that was a great move, combining the parents and JFPA.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
It was awesome. Tons of people, tons of support. You got a lot of people involved in that from the parents. Our JFPA guys cooking, and I think it's probably I don't know if this is something we should be proud of, but I think there was over 700 beers consumed at our tailgate. It's pretty impressive there. Good work. But yeah, it's a great location. Anybody stop by anytime. It's right there, kind of in a big traffic area. So a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I went out there and I had about a half a dozen player parents come out and thank us for doing this, Matt. So I know that the players' parents from out of state really appreciate a little more insight into the program. So
cool.
They wanted me to pass that along to you, and I didn't see you after that.
You didn't let him in on that. We just make it all up, right?
No, you just did. So thanks.
Thanks, Dallas. Yeah. No, otherwise, I mean, it's just so cool every year to see tailgating growing. On the east side of the stadium, like that whole grass area now is wall to wall with tents and people tailgating there. The west side and that orange lot in the northwest corner, that new orange lot, I was shocked how many tents and campers and whatnot pop-ups kind of moved into that very far northwest corner. That was really cool.
Hold on, like on the other side of the
Yes.
whatever that road is that goes north and south, like across there?
Yes, like
Really? Wow.
yeah. So like by the backyard to the west and
Yeah, yeah.
north of the backyard. Yeah. So
Nice.
that is just the general, like you can buy those spots for how much, Chad, for a year? Like
I don't
400,
recall,
500?
but 500, I
Yeah,
believe
something like
is
that.
right. And we're
You just-
talking for people that don't know. I think that's north of the motor pool, if that helps.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
right over out there.
The
Right around
new
that area.
the new motor pool, not the old one by the horse
Yeah.
unit sign.
Yeah. So the only issue that I have, and I did write this in Rants and Raves, is the changes in the triangle lot north of the library, outside of horticulture. That was something that the fans had kind of grassroots built on their own over the last 5 years, Chad, 5-6 years, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, at least,
Yeah.
a little longer, but like in the last 5 years is when it's really
Taken off, and that's around the alumni tent area. And that was a general parking. You could drive in, pay your $10 and park. We talked about this a little bit last week. Rows and rows of tents, usually filled up. One of the folks we saw missing, right, was the softball parents family, or the softball parents.
Yeah, they had moved to the other lot now.
They moved to the other lot, so that stinks. And then, a number of other folks. It just definitely wasn't as full. The parking lot for sure, when we were cleaning up at 4:00, was a quarter to a third full. I mean, it was fairly empty. Tons of parking spots left, and so that's just disappointing. I get what they're trying to do, giving, making sure that all, the new Jackrabbit Club members have a parking spot if they need to. But still a bummer. I hope they make some adjustments. If it's not full this time after Augie, I really do hope they make some adjustments. So
it did seem to fill up with just cars towards the end of tailgating. So I don't know if you missed that. Yeah. So perhaps we just got those people that don't want to tailgate but park.
Yeah. So anyways, that was a bummer. Otherwise, anything else just for the game day itself, the game day experience? Brookings was nuts. So
it seemed like the serve yourself or the grab and go beer line was a success.
Yep.
I actually bought beer, which I don't normally do inside the stadium, and so that was really weird because I didn't get a wristband in the tailgate like I should, because this has always been my ID. I don't have to really show anybody an ID anymore, and so I had to like walk all the way down the stadium at halftime to get a wristband, and then then they stamp your hand too, like to make sure that with a 45-year-old's beard.
Once you get the gray whiskers, it's not too tough to.
They're in there, Dallas. You look close. They're there. I had Darren Amick tell me when we were out there. He's like, "Oh man, you got way more gray. It looks way better on the podcast." I was like, "Oh gee, thanks, dude."
I think you're distinguished.
Like, time for just for men, I guess.
Yes. The other thing, cell phone reception. Cell phone reception was awesome. It was so nice to have that, to be able to check other scores. And for me to tweet some during the game, that's been something that just hasn't happened in the past few years. So
do we know? Did they put like extenders in or something? Or
yeah, there's a big extender on the old field.
They added two. Yeah, they added two towers, is what Brendan had been informed of. So he said that on the Borg show. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'll say this. I think the just general. I mean, we touched on it. The size and growth of tailgating. I've noticed that, like, distinguishably the last 2 years. Someone just commented, like, it's almost out to the Dairy Science parking lot. Yesterday you just walked kind of from the pack center towards the stadium and that lot straight to the east. And I mean, people at 1:30 are setting up, in the back of their cars, tables on the sidewalks. And I just think back in, even 2010, 2011, when we're doing walkthroughs 5 hours before the game on the Double Crown next to the trailers, like back in the good old days. And like now people are this excited that they're showing up to sit in the back of their cars 5 hours before the game. I just think that's cool. I think that's a huge compliment to the program and the university and what this has done the last 10 years. It was great. As we were walking in, got to run into Stig. He was just walking out of the Dyke House Center there, and gave him a big hug, chatted with him for 10 minutes, and he said the same thing. I mean, that was one of the first things he said, wow, look at this. Isn't this something? Like, just think of this. And that was kind of his message to my wife and I as we were walking. It was just like, it's cool. It's a really good experience. We got to be proud of that.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Should we talk some football finally?
Yeah, that'd be good. That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, right. All right. Initial impressions, kind of a slow start. Obviously, I think things are a little different if Graham Goring catches that initial touchdown pass, right? We don't have a drop touchdown. We don't have a missed field goal. So we get some momentum going right away in that first quarter. Initially, loved the mix of Chase Mason on that first drive too, with his powerful runs. Angel Lamar looked great. Those are my initial first quarter impressions, I guess. Anything else?
I think, maybe controversial being I love the 605 Hogs, but it seems like they're more timid than they were last year. I don't know how else to say that. Maybe that's not fair. I just feel like we're missing that mean streak that maybe Mason brought to the equation. So I'd like to see that come back. I'm not saying they can't, just it didn't seem there, the killer instinct, if you will, in the first quarter, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting the first drive or two, they had some success, which you would think, they're pulling out all the tricks in their sleeve. Maybe they scripted the first 20 plays.
Mm-hmm.
They got a little energy. They know what they're going to go at you with. But I think that's where it shows our strength from the coaching standpoint too. I don't want to overlook that ever, because I think we're just such a well-coached team that we're disciplined in those things. We kind of stick to our guns in regards to, obviously we saw the game through to the third, fourth quarter, obviously pulled away a little bit towards the end, but that's one of the things that when a team comes at you and moves the ball, gets a little momentum there in the first quarter, our guys stuck their heads in there. And I think that's a compliment to the coaching too, that, Jimmy and those guys, they're disciplined. So that's kind of my initial take in that first half when, the momentum was a little bit back and forth. I just thought, we'll see how this ends. And obviously our guys and the coaches kind of stepped up there. So just another angle to consider it.
Yep. One thing, I've been thinking about, someone made a comment 2 rows up in the fourth quarter yesterday after Incarnate Word hit that long touchdown in the north end zone. And the guy turned around and was talking to someone else and goes, we're not as good as everyone thinks we are. We're not even close to as good as any of the other teams we've had the last 2 years. And I just couldn't believe that, because you look at the reps that were lost from previous years. And you got to think back, like Mason and Garrett and that crew, they weren't always Mason and Garrett that we've had the last 2 years.
Yeah, that takes time.
That's fair.
Yeah, it takes time. It's nuts. And so like for me, last year's team was probably a top 30 FBS school. We'll never know because we didn't play a full FBS schedule, but I'd say top 30, top 35, somewhere in there. I mean, this year's team is a top FCS school, probably top 60, FBS, top 50 FBS, somewhere in there. That's a big gap. I mean, and the experience, the reps, the thousands of reps those guys had together. Zach Hines, Mason McCormick, Garrett Greenfield, Isaiah Davis, just on offense specifically, because right now it still feels like we're not hitting on all cylinders yet. We're gonna get there, folks. We just got to be patient, right? We just got to be patient on this. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, recognizing the quality of team we had, especially last year, is another level. I mean, that was just a strong team with a couple of strong players, like super, obviously NFL guys. Yeah, I mean, not saying that we can't get to that point, but that's just that team last year was another level.
Right.
Well, bringing it back to this year's guys, though, I don't understand what anybody is really, trying to set that measuring stick to. We just played probably a playoff team, maybe even a top 10 FBS school. And then, my God, our Incarnate Word team is freaking good. Their quarterback beat Alabama.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Their quarterback's a dude.
I mean, we played. That was a really good team. They were undisciplined. They melted down, and they played like there's 70 transfers on the team because that's what they're built up from. But that was a really good football team with a lot of high talent. And again, I was on the Southland Sermons last week, and I don't want this to sound arrogant, but we were their big game this year. They didn't have an FBS game. They went and played the 2-time defending champs at their place. That was their big game. They struggled a little bit early against a bad Northern Colorado team because guess what? They were overlooking them for this game.
Yeah, you could see it on the sidelines.
Yeah, they were up, they were amped. I went back and watched some of it this morning. Like this week they were, but no, like we took care of business against a very good team.
Yep. And you look at their body types that they had on the sidelines. It's easy to see why they have so many FBS guys. These are long, spidery looking guys. There's some dudes on that defense that you can just tell long, lanky, can really run. They're going to be all right. They're going to be all right.
No, we ended up beating a playoff team that's going to win games in the playoffs, by 3 scores, and could have been 4 or 5. I think what this is going to come back to is right now, still early on. Well, some of these guys are getting reps, and I think Jimmy's kind of said the same thing. Like, we're just not in a spot where we can make mistakes and give up a bunch of penalty yards, whereas we're used to being able to, somebody jump off sides and it's like, oh, whatever, we're fine. And right now we're not quite at the point where there's this complete confidence that doesn't matter. This isn't a team that we have the talent to be able to overcome 80 penalty yards. What did we have yesterday? Does anybody know?
Too many.
I don't know. It was a flag fest.
It was a chunk. Whatever it was. It was a lot of flag.
Yeah.
Anyway, and we got the talent to do it, but that just takes time and takes reps.
Yeah.
Well, and the experience for some of those errors that we're making, tackling, that comes around penalties. I don't want to say those are easy things to fix, but I mean that's something they can push in those guys real quick in a couple weeks and get that fixed. I mean, it's the skills there. Those are mistakes that we can fix.
We have an elite coaching staff. They will take care of it.
Yeah. Hey, will you pull up Dustin Perman's comment there?
Yeah, sure.
Please. All right. Thank you. So Dustin says tackling in the secondary have me concerned. For me right now, the tackling, you saw some of that last night again. But overall, man, Adam Bach and Caleb Franzel really blew up the run game. Outside of Calzada in the scrambles, they were excellent. Adam Bach especially. He had the 3 tackles for loss, and he just looked great out there. Still some missed tackles. I commented on that one tunnel screen that went for a 69-yard touchdown. Lots of folks have let me know that it looks like on the replay we had a blitz, so it was just a perfect offensive call against what we trotted out there. It was still a little jarring to see. Like I've never seen an opponent have a tunnel screen go for a big hit like that. As I wrote, I'm so used to seeing Dyshawn Gales blow it up with his physicality. That it just caught me off guard. We'll be okay. The secondary, the injuries at the safety position right now have me concerned. That is something to be concerned about with Reeder and Kobe Herter already out, and then Tucker Large dropping out of this one. That's not great. So we will see. Matt Durant's played well, but Dante Johnson, we got to get him some more reps and get him comfortable back there along with Colton Tilford. So that's the thing I'm looking, we just got to watch for. So
we've got, actually, let's talk injuries a little bit because it sounded really concerning towards the end on the radio because we got a lineman go down. Then Zach Wilson? Like that was, it felt, I don't know. The tone on the radio for a little bit there talking about injuries was not good.
So Ethan Vibert went down, walked off, right? He walked off? Okay.
Yeah, Zach Wilson went down on the defense for a while.
Yeah, and I mean, we're already without Randy Cadent dress, and then Blake Peterson isn't dressing yet. So we're getting a little thin at the end.
Yeah.
A lot of inexperienced guys, especially if Wilson can't go. So, I mean, hopefully we'll be able to rest versus Augie.
I think so. I mean, we got 3 weeks in the bullet board material here, so go ahead and clip it, Selah fans. But I mean, we really got 3 weeks here where we should be able to get through, and and get some guys healthy, because you got Augie, you got they don't like Selah, do they?
Slew.
So,
Yeah, Slew.
Slew. Okay, Slew.
Yeah.
Selah. I like it.
Yeah. Well, no, it used
coleslaw. Call him
It
coleslaw.
used to be Selah.
Yeah, they had a big thing. I don't know. There was a big thing where they didn't want to do that anymore. So anyway, you got those two. Then you got the bye, so that should help some. But no, it's concerning. And it sound on the radio, the Zach Wilson thing didn't sound good. I didn't watch that far into the game, but they said that they had to take his helmet off for him, and it didn't have a good tone to it.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's okay.
So, I mean, when I did the previews and stuff, Bibbs talked about JR Lacuna, the freshman out of Omaha.
Yep.
We'll see. He might get some reps this week. It wouldn't shock me if I saw him. So, Selah till I'm dead and buried.
That's right. If you've ever been in a fraternity, which I know half of this podcast has, you don't get to choose your nickname. You get your nickname, and the more you don't like it, the more it's gonna stick.
I'm guessing the team is that way too, right, Dallas and Jake? Like that's the team. Yeah,
Yep.
I think so.
Just Terry, his mom chimed in here just for you there. Sorry,
Mama Large.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This is good. We used to have Allison Winkleman on here giving us updates, and Griffin freaking Wilde, Dallas.
Yep.
Yeah.
My goodness, what a stud.
I loved it today. I just said, when's he going to become a star or a superstar? And I think it was Seth Myers commented, he's already a star.
Yeah,
we're actively watching it. We are actively watching it.
Yeah, man alive. He's just, no one can cover him. Jeepers. No other reaction? We gotta talk about Amar.
I mean, he's very
Angel.
Jake Winicky, right? That's been the comp all along. And even Jake Winicky said, dude, he's better than me. So that was on the broadcast. I'm not making that up.
He's so explosive after the catch too. Like that's what I always think about him. Like he doesn't miss a beat. Once he catches the ball, he's just off. And I think that's what reminds me of Winicky so much, is that same kind of like just burst and kind of acceleration that he has. I think that makes him a difference maker. On top of his route running, obviously, which is really strong.
Mm-hmm.
And he's what, 20? Like at the oldest. He doesn't look like a 20-year-old dude there with pads and helmet on. He's a full-size man.
Yeah. Angel and Amar looked phenomenal. Man, Amar ran hard again.
Yeah, those guys. I think those guys, again, when we talk about, I like kind of I think the O-line will get there, right? I mean, there's some good quality kids there. There's some good leadership with Miller, and there's probably just takes a little time to get that nastiness that Mason had last year. It's just something he earned and built. But there's obviously good backs behind him that I don't want to say are making up for it, but I mean they're still making plays, which is great. I mean they're still getting quality yards and being effective with it. So really, really excited about that. I was really pleased yesterday watching the run game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about it last week, but Amar just looked explosive right now.
Oh, he looked great.
He looks a step faster than even before. Like I'm just really excited to see him the rest of the year.
To me, even more, it's his vision. He's got that pause that Isaiah had to wait for the hole to get there, and we saw that time and time again behind the line last night.
Mm-hmm. And to the offensive line's credit, we only had one negative rushing play last night. Like that's pretty damn good for as many times as we did run the ball. We lost 1 yard running the ball, besides quarterback Neal at the end of the game. So good job.
Well, and another thing that I noticed, obviously more this game than Oklahoma State, but we're that team now that's getting everybody's best, right? So we're the team that they're scheming against. They're throwing in special blitz packages. They're throwing in special games and stunts and all those different things. And so our O-line, they're not getting it easy, man. Those guys are moving in front of them. Their D-line is everywhere. Their linebackers are coming in. So, I mean, you got to think number one team in the country, obviously. We're getting every other team's best with their schemes and their different strategies that they're throwing at us. So it's not an easy task on their end in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right.
That was good. Time's gonna have to tell what Incarnate Word has on the defensive side of the ball. The Southland typically isn't known for being a defensive team, but they were the best last year, and historically of that conference on defense.
Mm-hmm.
But moved the ball well and relatively balanced again. Total of how many yards was it? 5. How many total yards did we have? Matt, do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, 5 something. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. It was a ridiculous amount of offense. Moved it at will. Got ourselves into a shootout against a team that's what they do, and then we managed to one up them there and get ahead by a couple of scores at the end. Do we want to shift over and talk defense a little bit, Matt, or where were you going to take this?
Let's just talk about tight ends really quick because we haven't mentioned them yet, even though people have been bringing up in the comments. So
yes, that was fun.
I'm so glad we finally got to see Brody Gormley get a reception and show off that speed outside of his kick coverage. What a monster, man! I loved it. That when a 6'7" guy decked a 5'6" returner, that was awesome on the kick.
And they called him the wrong name on the broadcast. I'm like, dude, that's not who that is.
Oh man, Gritton Gannon. I'm glad he got to shake off the trip from Oklahoma State and make some plays, catch a touchdown. He looks like a natural out there. Really hope that Davin Stoffel's okay. He limped off the field pretty good. So hopefully it's just an ankle. Nothing's going to require any long-term stuff. So
yeah, it kind of looked like our left tackle kind of fell on him on that play. So
yep. Put up Jordan Thull's comment here. Kevin Brenner. Man, I tweeted about this. I'm going to go back and find the clip sometime this week. He buried that linebacker or safety, whatever it was, at about the 10-yard line, 10 yards down the line of scrimmage. God, it was awesome. Just absolutely 6 foot deep. It was great. Good job, Kevin Brenner. I would like to see more Kevin Brenner, blocking out there on run plays, especially. He's doing such a good job, busting his ass. So good job, Kevin.
Let's just run 14 personnel.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. All right. What do we got? Defense. You want to talk defense, Dallas? What did you see on defense?
Definitely. Well, it was more hearing than seeing. I watched most of the first half, listened to the whole thing. It did stand out in the beginning where I don't think Tyler said a defensive lineman's name in the first half. I genuinely don't think he did. Don't quote me on it, but it wasn't much. But it did sound like that, they came around and started impacting the game more as time went on. We're playing against a team that I don't know if they came in thinking they were going to try to run the ball or not. I'd be really curious to know that because they do, they can run the ball. They've got, 3 backs or whatever that can all, have a lot of skill and can make people miss in space, but they really went in, and it sounded like a lot of their passing plays, and it looked like a lot of the passing plays were just an extension of the run game. A lot of stuff, trying to just get people out in space, get them one-on-one, try to let them miss, or try to get them to miss. And a lot of the, we're talking about missed tackles, and yeah, it's a missed tackle, but man, those are some tough positions when you get somebody in stride, and you have to react to them. So that's really more about lanes and positioning. And you got to know a bit more about what they're trying to do schematically to critique that.
Sure.
In my opinion, but in the end, man, they did. Quarterback goes 31 of 38 or whatever it was for a ton of yards. Like they put up a lot, and I think probably a lot of Jacks fans. You got to watch that and kind of wonder, hey, are we in trouble on defense? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. And again, I thought Reese Kirschman, especially in the second half, looked good out there. He had some speed off the edge. He's going to have to develop a counter because once that tackle started to learn that Reese was just trying to burn off the edge, he got pancaked a couple times from what I could see. Bryce Hawthorne, again, like he's a young pup out there, but he's going to be damn good too, guys. We keep saying that, but you can just see these moments of like, okay, there's really something cooking here. So excited for him. Excited for both of those two in their future. Kobe.
Hold on. Comment, Ryan Ethling. Hated that 3-man front when we went long third down. I yelled in the car and woke up my son when Tyler said we had 3 down linemen. I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
And we still let him throw the under and get the first down. So,
Yep. Max Balloon, again, he did make a nice play in the run game. I saw similar to kind of what he did at Oklahoma State last week and just had a big stuff. Kobe Claiborne, really active again. He buzzes around. It's just really kind of fun to watch him play.
he had that one tackle where he cut that guy in half. That was awesome.
Yep.
That was as good of a tackle as you could see legally and not be from a highlight reel from the 90s,
Yep. Hey, we didn't see Ripperda yesterday. Did we?
No, I don't think so.
So I wonder if he's out too. Dang. We are thin at DN, guys. Woo.
Well, I mean,
if Zach Wilson
Dallas,
can't play.
what are you up to tomorrow?
Yeah, you guys got any eligibility left?
You got a couple guys right here. Just put on the number. Don't take your helmet off. Nobody will know.
D3 and under is all. Like I said, that's a little concerning. Now, again, back to looking at the next few weeks. If we can get a few guys healthy again, this actually bodes really well for the future to get a few more guys some reps here while we can't know. Again, this isn't to say that we can completely overlook anybody and that we're, that they don't have to be ready to play, but that does help. And you look at, as much time as we've talked about the safety room being so deep, and it's because some guys got forced into playing before they should have been ready, and then they did okay. They stepped up, and we've got the athletes to do it. It's just going to be time now.
Yep.
Yeah. And on that point, I kind of preached on him last week. Just a huge fan of him. I think he's just such a talented player. And when you have a leader like that in Bach that's flying around, setting the tone, doing the right things, pursuit defense, nobody's out of position, everyone's doing their job. Like that's something that 3-4 games in, I think these young guys, some of this inexperience, when they're just, that's the standard that's being set. I think we'll see a different level with some of those younger guys in a couple weeks. Because man, Bach, he's just good. I mean, he's been good for a couple years. We know that, but I'm just saying, like watching him fly around and just lead that defense. Those young guys are going to catch up to him real quick because that's the Jimmy Rogers, right? I mean, that's the way he played. He set the standard and people followed him.
Yep. One other guy to shout out before we move on here. We got to move on here soon. Kobe Humphrey. Man, he plays physical. Two plays in the fourth quarter where Calzada, who had a great game, but just two plays when he kind of floated it out into the flat, and Kobe Humphrey just made that receiver pay, made him feel him. Hopefully both those guys are okay because he decked them. Man, he hits hard. So fun player. Fun, good pickup, as Mitch McLean says here. Love the impact the transfer portal guys are making. Hagan, Humphrey, Claiborne. Yes, definitely.
Which gives us more trust in the way that this coaching staff does that, because we're not hitting we're hitting the portal less than anybody else. And when we do it, we mean it.
Yep.
Besides Dabo Sweeney.
Yeah,
That's
right?
true.
No kidding.
Got zero.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's true. Good call.
Yeah. Hey, Dallas, you want to hit us with Cubbies?
I can, man. I tell you what, I was gone last weekend, but I cannot wait to get back to Cubbies here. Definitely going to hit that up before the game, probably after the game. So whether you're trying to gear up for game day or just if you're in the Brookings area looking to unwind at the end of the day, end of the week, Cubby Sports Bar and Grill is the perfect spot. Huge selection. Anything you want to drink, tons of taps, fantastic wings, burgers, sandwiches, you name it. We've all got our favorites here. Nachos, amazing stuff. Go to Cubby's. It is a absolute top-notch sports bar, and I've been to a lot of them around the country. Gotta love Cubby's. So something for everybody. Yeah, catch the game. Tons of big screens. Everything is on. Great atmosphere, friendly place. Swing by downtown Brookings. Get the Cubbies.
All right. So for offensive game ball, I did go with Amar. I thought he just ran super hard, was shifty, like Chad talked about. Just looked really good. But there's a lot of guys you could give it to. So I'm curious to who you guys went with.
I was picking Lamar.
Yeah,
I'm gonna good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the same, and it's more just trying to break it up and not give it to Wildy every week the way that he's looking. But
I mean, I think Mark's done a very good job considering he's the pace, the game has changed because he's got dudes in his face all the time. He's throwing the ball away when he should, making quality reads. And if his guys don't drop a few balls, it's an even better game for us, right? I mean, we're still getting a few more drops. So since everybody went every other way, I'll pick him. I'll pick a Mark. So
there we go. All right, defensively, I went with Adam Bach. I know that's a cop out. Bach 2 weeks in a row, but man alive, I could have gone with Matt Durance, I thought, but I did go with Bach just because some of those plays he made behind the line of scrimmage, and especially in the first half, really eliminated the Incarnate Word run game.
I'm going to go with number 70 for the Incarnate Word offensive line, who had like 60 yards and penalties against him. He's my first vote for our defensive player of the week. I know. After that, got to go with Durance. Congratulations. Way to step in, and just when, every program says next man up, but somebody that's been around, everybody believes in. He dealt with injuries leading up to the season, and the way that, especially somebody later in their career, that can play with your head and you can just be done. Mm-hmm. Like I've seen it so many times, and he got through that, and he, trusted his body, trusted the process, stepped in and absolutely executed. Congratulations, bud. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going with Durance. I picked Bach. I've already mentioned him once, so switching it up. But I do think Durance, second in the game tackles with 8. Bach had 9, 7 solo tackles. Again, coming from the safety position, naturally that's going to happen. But I think stepping up and making some plays, which is what that group needs.
Mm-hmm. All right, there we go. So we'll give it to Durance there. Chad, congratulations. You got the score. You were closest there.
I thought so. I was
42-24 is what you said. So good job.
Pretty close.
Yeah, 45-24. So nice work. All right. Northwestern Mutual. Chad, you want to talk about that?
Northwestern Mutual. Yeah, sure. I will talk about Northwestern Mutual because they are a sponsor of the Alex's Lemonade Stand Challenge with the FCS Nation Radio. Are you all right, Matt?
Sorry, Corey gets me.
Corey. and this week, I go around, hand out pudding shots. Now we don't have a suggested donation, but I do tell people, hey, if you'd like to donate, you either are for kids with cancer or against kids with cancer. And if you want to donate, feel free to donate. I'm totally stealing that from Brendan. I know. But we went around the backyard, came back, and the pudding shots this week, we raised $301. And, Chris Schenkel and the guys over at Northwestern Mutual, they're who you need to see if you have any concerns with your financial life. And you should have concerns because that's what you need to retire with. So go see them. If you have a family, well, things happen, and life insurance is something you need. You need to be able to replace your salary or hire Mary Poppins if something should happen. So go see the guys at Northwestern Mutual. Again, $301 is what we raised. So I just want people to know that we're going to plan on putting all that money in later in the year so we don't have a Bauman situation like we did last year. So Kevin, if you're paying attention, feel free to write that number down. You can count on that money coming in. So thanks to Northwestern Mutual for the support here on this program as well.
Yep. Thanks, guys. All right. And so now we talk about Augustana, and we are talking about the Hall of Fame game, which we saw your dad at Tailgating Dallas. That was awesome.
Yeah, he came and tailgated with us.
He sent me a picture of the setup. That was cool.
It's senior day, so we're going to have seniors from all across Minnesota, South Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska on campus, high school seniors, touring SDSU, and it is the Beef Bowl. So it brings some of our friends in the cattle industry that come to one game a year, and that's fine. But they pack the stadium, they sell some steers, and if you've never been, it's pretty fun. And it's just going to be a huge crowd. It's already a sellout, obviously. And on the Jackrabbit Ticket Exchange Facebook site, there's already people selling tickets, buying tickets like crazy. So All right. So what are we looking for with Augustana? Jake, you did some research and found out that there is a lot of connections with our staff and the NSIC. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think Augie, great program, honestly, first and foremost, I'll say that. And that was kind of my thought when I knew this. I have a couple of good friends or connections, guys, and that coaching staff that I knew had those Augie connections. But, I think that's kind of an interesting dynamic when you think of, our coaches being able to relate to their time when they're maybe recruiting for NSIC games in Augustana, or even coaching for Augustana, coaching for Coach OJ and part of that staff, and just some neat connections there. So yeah, there's a good handful. So obviously Kyle Sadler, our SDSU's quality control coach, played QB there from 2018 to 2021. Had a great career. One of the, they've had some really good quarterbacks at Augie the last couple of years. Robbie Rouse, our running back coach, actually coached at Augie from 2018 to 2020. I got to know him pretty well when we was in Sioux Falls. I was working there at Sanford, ran into him at different events. Great guy. Obviously now here at SDSU. Ryan Olson, ROC, obviously coached at Bemidji State. Probably did a lot of prep for Augie at times. Jalen Bibbs, obviously D-line coach, played in the NSIC and coached at St. Cloud. Jake Menegee, wide receiver coach, was a GA at Southwest for a year. And then on their side for Augie, their OC, Tyler Papio, I'm probably not saying that right, obviously coached wide receivers and tight ends at USD from 2017 to 2022. So just kind of an interesting dynamic when you think of, the difference in levels, an FCS team to a D2 team, but there's a lot of similarities, right? I mean, that's kind of a cool thing about this game when you got some coaches that got some connections and some familiarity with the programs. And then obviously just being an hour away from each other, like, there's just, I'm sure those coaches go to the same coaches conferences and the same South Dakota conventions. And so there's a lot of mutual respect. And I think that's just kind of a cool thing about this game. They're going to be overmatched, just probably the way it's going to be, but kind of fun just to kind of relate to some of those things that they have.
Yep. And like the prospect camps in the summer, Augie coaches come up to that. I mean, they are looking kind of at the same talent pool in a lot of ways. And I think some of their coaches like help our coaches lead the drills and stuff at these camps too, just because they're, there's that camaraderie and stuff that they have. For the combine, the Augie kids come up and perform their combine testing at the SJAC. And so again, yeah, you're absolutely right, Jake. A lot of respect, I think, between these two programs and staffs, and a lot of players that just, they know each other, likely. A lot of South Dakota kids on Augie's roster, Minnesota kids as well. So it's going to be a fun game. Augie's a top 25 D2 program pretty much every year. Last year was one of the best seasons they've had in a while. We know Canyon Bauer is still on their team. He caught a touchdown pass last week for him in their win over Mary, I believe. They have a new quarterback that they're breaking in. A lot of new faces. They did graduate a number of really good players last year. So it should still be an interesting game, a fun game, just with an old, familiar opponent, I guess.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too. It was, everybody, I'm sorry if there's any thumping. I've got a kitten running around once again, playing with all the wires. And so anyway, if I disappear, it's because of a cat. But now I'm excited to see this. I mean, this was an old, call it a rivalry. I still remember Stig's dislike for Augustana was very real, like maybe even more so than USD back in the day. And they're going to be fired up. I mean, this is the same as, honestly, like this is the same as us going into Stillwater. Mm-hmm. It really is. And, and they're a solid team. They were, I think, 21st last week. I didn't see if D2football.com updated after games in week 1 here, but they're good. So quarterback, Gunnar Hensley, responsible for 4 touchdowns. They did bring another quarterback in towards the end of the game, and I actually was just researching. I have not seen what the reasoning behind that was. They won 35-13, so I have a hard time believing that they just brought in another quarterback, especially when this is a new guy. But 6'2" quarterback out of California, relatively mobile, very accurate, so he's going to be good. Spread the ball around well. Had actually top receiver in the game was a running back, Max Grand, And he had one big, one big reception. Then a tight end had 2 for 43. Matt Francis. Then we got a couple wide receivers. Isaiah Huber had 6 for 40. Jack Fisher had 4 for 36 and a touchdown. And then Canyon Bauer had a 1 yard touchdown reception. So it spread the ball around well on this. As far as rushing, they bring back over 1,000-yard rusher from last year. Get out of here, Cat.
Hey, we wanted to see it. The people were asking for it. They got what they asked for.
She's a monster. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna try to be professional here and keep going. They brought back 1,000-yard rusher in Jared Epperson. He had 11 for 60, and then they had a guy named Schulten had 8 for 32 up there in Bismarck against Mary. On the defensive side of the ball, top tackler was Cade Linold, I believe. Linold, I need to double check that last name, but anyway, he had 6. He was third in tackles last year with 59. Alex, we're going to go with Alex Baloney because that's how it looks like it's spelled. Alex, if you listen to this, I'm sorry if I got it wrong, but he was 14th last year. He had 21 tackles last year, had 5 this week. And then Miles Taylor had 2 sacks. He had 2.5 last year. So they bring back some production.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jake.
Oh, sorry. Just Jason just commented too that Epperson's a 6-year dude. So I think that's something to call out, just that experience. And then on the other side, I believe he was the preseason, from one of my sources at least, preseason defensive player of the year for the conference, Peyton Buckley, their safety. So again, some studs on that side too. Some of those guys Dallas called out.
Yeah, so it feels to me like everybody should know the Northern Sun in this area and should know some things about it. And maybe we don't all, but just to make sure that we're clear, I mean, the Northern Sun is, if not the top, the number 2 Division II league in the country. That is very, very good football.
It's probably the Big Sky of Division II, right? Yeah, the second best conference. So,
they are absolutely excellent.
Not the CAA. They're
no, definitely not. No, I mean, Northern Sun is great football. So they're going to come in ready to play. It's an in-state school. Yeah. So, and actually, probably a better comparison wouldn't be us going into Stillwater. A better one would be us going into Minnesota or Nebraska or or Iowa, right? Like that's what this is like. And every kid up and down that roster was on a game day visit here. Had somebody's one of the coaches followed them on Twitter. Like every single one of those kids on that roster has this story as to why they should be playing at South Dakota State. The same way that all of our players all have the story that they probably should have been playing at Iowa or Minnesota or Nebraska or whatever it is. So no, these guys are gonna be ready to go.
So two names that stand out to me as I look through their roster. I'm always thinking about this recruiting stuff. Max Grand is a former Gopher. He was a walk-on Gopher. I believe we had offered him. And then Rashad Lampkin was supposed to be the next stud running back at Illinois State and did appear in a few games there. I'm almost positive we offered Lampkin out of high school too. So these are talented players. Dallas is absolutely right. So
I think they're, the other side too is they're a very good coach team. Coach OJ is a great guy, great coach. He's been there a while. He's had success. I think this is his 12th year. I actually have some coworkers that I've, gotten pretty close with that played football at Augie. That was just some of my inside track came from here with some of that stuff. But I've played in the, I'll admit this, I played in the Augustana alumni football golf tournament 4 years now. So just kind of a fun thing to do with those guys. And every time you see Coach OJ, he knows the connection. He knows the history. He's giving me a hug saying, how's it going? How's the Jacks going to be this year? I mean, just a top-notch guy. And I think he reminds me a lot of Stig in that regard. Like the X's and O's are great. You're remembering, the wins and losses, but he's making his goal is to build better dads, better husbands, better coworkers in the future. I mean, I think he's just a top-notch guy. Which again, I think just a lot of respect for Augie as a program. I think this will be a fun game.
Cool. Jake, while you're on it, do you want to tell us about JFPA, what they got cooking right now?
Yeah, so obviously great tailgate last week. Another good one this week. And again, as we've touched on, a lot of connections on the current team. I think there's just as many, if not more, connection to former players that have buddies that are playing at Augie going to be up at the game. So just be a great week this weekend for that. We're constantly in touch with Coach Rogers and just understanding how we can help the team. and looking for those opportunities. So yeah, lots of good things. If anybody wants to kind of stay involved, just let us know.
Yep. Sounds good. All right, so let's get into some predictions here. Who went first last week for offense? I should write that down. I think Chad did because Chad picked Amar.
I think I did.
So Dallas, it's your turn to pick offensive player of the week.
I literally did not think about this yet, and I was just going to start writing it down. I'm like, ooh, I hope I go last. So offensive player of the week. God, I want to pick a tight end again, but I'm going to be so predictable, and Brendan's going to make fun of me. I'm going to go with Angel.
Angel, all right.
Yep.
Okay. So I am gonna go with I'm going back to my guy Brody Gormley. Gormley's gonna break out again this week. Couple TDs. So yep, Gormley. Jake.
I'm gonna make the wild bet and pick Chase Mason.
Nice.
I think the
Love it.
opportunity to get some reps, do some
Love it.
different things with him. This is the type of game to do that. It's a
Good thing.
obviously long shot bet, but we'll see.
There we
Pat
go.
Whitty and Jim
Yeah,
Popper.
there we go. Everybody's agreeing.
I like
like
that one.
Yep.
All right. Chad, how about you?
Kirby Truckin' Voorhees. That's who I want to
Kirby.
see.
I
Guys.
I was debating. I was thinking about going with Kirby too.
Kirby
Hey,
should-
Darren agrees with me, even though he
Yeah.
thinks I got a really gray beard.
Yeah.
Man, we're gonna have to be ready and jump out though for some of
Yeah.
those guys to get
Yep.
enough meaningful reps. Like
Yep.
there is a scenario where we don't jump out immediately, and this is a 10-point game at halftime, and like it absolutely could happen.
Yep. All right. Chad, who are you taking on defense then?
I think this is where our line actually shows a little bit of what they can do here, and so I'll go with Jared DePriest.
Okay. Jake?
I was actually thinking the same thing. I don't want to.
Were you going to say the same guy?
Yeah, I just think the line in this type of thing is where our opportunity to just step up to the plate. So, DePriest.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm going with Chase Van Toll. So whoever put that in, Dan Wilde. Yep. I'm going Chase Van Toll. Dallas.
That actually was gonna be mine.
So we all think the chain gang, but we're not gonna pick a position group because we're smarter than
No,
that.
Van Toll's
Yeah.
linebacker. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Yep, he's a linebacker. Trying to think that's another. We're extremely deep at linebacker, but I got to assume that they are planning on cycling those guys through relatively quickly in this game to get some reps. So that's why I was going to go that route. Yeah, that's what I'm going with too.
All right.
Sorry.
All right.
Lame.
Lame.
A couple.
All right.
Got a couple votes for Dallas Beanham in the chat.
Yep. Dallas, score prediction.
52 Jackrabbits. Let's go 16.
16.
Augustana Vikings.
Huh. Okay. All right. I am going to go. I'm going to go 47 to 13. 47-13.
Yep.
Jake.
So I know there's been a lot of chat about people flashing. Don't forget about Wisconsin lacrosse. Look at Notre Dame, Northern Illinois this last week. So again, totally respecting obviously that regard, but I just think we're a very well coached team. We're going to be overmatched, or they're going to be overmatched, and I think we'll probably pull away. So I was looking right at the 45-14. We'll be like Price is Right. I'm just below you, Matt.
There we go. All right. Chad.
Go ahead, Dallas.
I was going to say, the reason why I was debating whether to break into the 50s, and I don't think that is just because I think some of the younger guys can see that these are going to, if they get a bunch of meaningful reps, this is their chance, and they're going to be jacked up and ready to go. So that's why I think we can break into the 50s here.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I'm going to call a Culver's 50 butter burger and
Mhm.
go 52-17. I think they get some extra points in there.
All right. 1 point more than Dallas there. So we'll see. That's going to be interesting to watch.
Is
on
that
that
what-
one.
yeah, he said 16, didn't he?
He said
Sorry.
52-16.
No, that's all right.
Honestly, I don't pay too much attention
Is it-
to anything other than he said the same score for the
Sure.
Jacks. I was like, well, that's what I called. Was in my head. I had the
This
same.
is like on Price is Right, where somebody
Sticking
goes
true
a
to
penny under somebody that already went, and everybody's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. All right.
Darren Amex is $1.
Love it.
Couple housekeeping things here. So I told you I hit up all our sponsors this week. Went through Blue Tide Car Wash. That is super cool, super easy, convenient. If you have not done that yet, make sure you go through Blue Tide. That was great. Miles loved it. My 8-year-old thought it was as cool as I did. So I don't know what that says about me or him, but it did a great job too, washing my old jalopy. So next up, the Bar Network. Again, we had another bar come talk to us at the tailgate. If you are interested in getting your establishment on the Jackrabbit Illustrated Bar Network, let us know. Again, the only requirement is that you're going to show every game that you possibly can for the Jacks there. So usually that takes an ESPN Plus account. Book Club. Chad, great job at Book Club. What do you guys got going this week?
Well, we're a little late in the planning game normally, so probably won't figure that out till Thursday. But I can tell you this: beef. It's what's for dinner.
Beef. It's what's for dinner. Brennan, great job on the brisket, man. That was delicious.
Excellent, fantastic. Like I couldn't even pick it up; it just fell apart when I tried to pick it up with my hands.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Anything else? Housekeeping stuff for you guys?
Nope, nothing for me. Excited again. Talked about the Hall of Fame weekend. My dad will be out there in the field at halftime, and
you get to be out there too, right?
I don't think so. There's I think it's inductees only on the field. There's a ceremony at 10 a.m. beforehand. So
okay,
give him a field pass.
Yeah. Oh shoot. Flags. If you do want to buy flags, we'll be selling flags again at our tailgating spot, the Book Club. Ben.
He's just talking crap.
That's funny. So Ben,
no, we got a second from Ariel here too.
Oh, funny.
Ariel says not beef, pork.
What?
Oh
my gosh. Anyways, they're selling flags at the Book Club. If you want one of the white checkerboard flags, $30 will get you a flag. So you can stop by and pay the Venmo or Chad or Brendan or Ben. So, yep. Anything else, guys? All right.
Yeah.
Well, with that, see you guys next Saturday. So,
Let's go.
With that, go big, go blue,
Go Jacks.
Jacks.